Yeah, greetings, everyone. This is Chris Sloan, and I'm going to be talking about my crisis communication plan for natural disaster response for the Pearces Mill Fire Department in Cumberland County, North Carolina. So just a little introduction as to what the department is. So it's a combination fire department that's located in the county, and you'll see on the next slide the map where it's located. They run one 24-hour crew of 3 personnel, and then that is augmented by a force of volunteers of about 30 that come in on a pager system if there's an emergency call that the full-time staff cannot handle. As you can see in the picture, they do have 3 trucks and 3 engines and a light rescue, and they handle calls with the city of Fayetteville and with their neighboring departments in Hope Mills and Cumberland Road. You can see here the fire district is just south of the city of Fayetteville and also includes the Fayetteville Airport, which has its own fire department from the city, but they do back it up with mutual aid response. So the purpose of this plan is to have a communications plan or an outline for the procedures to do if there is a natural disaster crisis that strikes the area, similar to the hurricane we had last year. The main things that the plan will be used for would be, as you can see, as a hurricane, tornado, earthquake, tropical storm, or a severe thunderstorm that causes a lot of damage, or especially flooding, which is what we had the most problems with last year. Some of the objectives for this plan is this plan will be activated if there is an alert from the Cumberland County Emergency Management System. They'll initiate the crisis team and who's going to be responsible for what within the team that's outlined here in the procedures. And if those personnel are not available, then who would fill in for them if they're not able to man their duties. They'll determine who's going to be recalled and how many people will be recalled. Basically, this would be like an emergency essential services system, where if there are people who have family members in need that need to take care of that situation first, obviously they would be sent out to take care of that, as they are volunteers. And then if there are personnel who are still remaining that can stay in the area that will be affected, then they can stay to pull duties to help their community out. The chief of the Pearces Mill Fire Department will be the designated spokesman for all of the crisis plan, and he will be the person in charge of the ensuring that the plan is being conducted. And that the number one thing that is to obviously keep people informed, both the members within the fire district and the citizens of the fire district, so that they know what they need to do if a crisis should occur. The key publics for this plan are the enabling publics are the officers of the department and the board of directors, who will be assisting the crews by ensuring that they have the right equipment and that there's money and resources available should they need it for handling something larger than their typical suppression and rescue response. And then the Cumberland County Emergency Management Division, who will be managing all of the crisis plan for the entire county of Cumberland. Our functional publics will be the members of the department and the members of the auxiliary, which includes the folks who come in to help out making food, coffee, ensuring that the house is kept neat and taken care of in the event that they have to continuously run operations 24 hours a day. The normative publics will be the Cumberland County Emergency Medical Services, or the EMS, so the ambulances that run within the county. The mutual aid departments, like I had said, it would be the city of Fayetteville, Cumberland Road Station, Cotton Station, and a few others that they run mutual aid with. FEMA will be if they are called in to assist with the crisis. And then our diffused publics will be the media And then the Cumberland County has a organization called a Donated Goods Management and Unmet Needs Group, which forms together when there's a crisis situation in the county, and they handle helping out with dry food, dry goods, clothing, toys for kids, that type of thing. And so they centrally locate a stockpile, and then they issue those out to areas and neighborhoods that are affected. Once the crisis is determined, there'll be multiple methods that'll be used to be notifying the publics. The members of the department will go through the County Emergency Operations Center. Everyone has pagers or radios, which they can use to get the information. And then the chairman of the board will be notified by the chief via telephone. For our normative publics, this will be for the ambulance, mutual aid. Again, will be notified through the dispatch center, but they will also be contacted by the assistant chief for administration and training, who will coordinate with their assistant chiefs to ensure that everyone is being taken care of. For the citizens of the fire district and those in the vicinity who will be affected, they'll receive their notifications through the Cumberland County Alert System, which is a system that you sign up for online, and then in the event of a crisis or an emergency, they send out text messages. They'll also be able to receive information via social media platforms, including Facebook, which is the Pearces Mill Fire Department Facebook site, and also the Cumberland County Emergency Services Facebook and the Cumberland County Emergency Services Twitter account. So the crisis team, as I said, is led by the Pearces Mill Fire Department chief, and he will also be managing all of the emergency actions that are done within the department. With it being a small department, it's not really necessarily to divide all these duties up, but there will be other duties in-house for different members of the officer line. The assistant chief for suppression will be in charge of all of the fire and rescue responsibilities. The assistant chief for administration and training will be the person responsible for ensuring that the equipment and the personnel are adequate, and that they have be the point of contact for all mutual aid and correspondence with the county emergency management agency to ensure that that what's going on in Pearces Mill is in line with what's going on and what the county needs. The board of directors, as I said, will be available to release funds for the department should they need to purchase or invest money outside of the normal budget that's allotted to the chief. And then the full-time captain, who's part of the paid crew, will be responsible for all of the administrative actions. That includes filing all of the reports, the after-action reviews, and things like that continue so that if a crisis occurs in the future, if they'll be able to learn from mistakes or learn from the things that were positive in the current event for future events. And they will also be responsible if there should be any injuries or line of duty deaths for managing the process that goes on along with that. For the crisis directory, since this is already an emergency services group, everything kind of falls in line with what's going on with the county. So you have the County Emergency Management Division, the Sheriff's Office, the Emergency Medical Services, and the City of Fayetteville Fire Department. For the media within our area, we're kind of lucky here in Fayetteville that it's a small, big city. That we have just a few media outlets that are run out of Raleigh, and then our radio stations are most of the radio stations that are in the area are owned by two major broadcasting companies that own about 5 to 6 radio stations each. And then the Fayetteville Observer is responsible for the print media, so we will be in contact with those major media outlets. The Crisis Control Center for the county will be run out of the Communication Center, which is the law enforcement center downtown Fayetteville. If there's something that we can't use the firehouse for, and from there, if there's a situation then where there's a problem at the Communication Center, then we'll be using the Fayetteville Airport as an alternative site if we lose both the other sites. For pre-gathered information and messages, within the department, there are standard operating guidelines and standard operating procedures for many of the events that would take place, including natural disasters and flooding. So if there was a helicopter or aircraft crash, vehicle accidents, large commercial fires, there are already pre-plans and other guidelines that are in effect that the department is all familiar with. Any member of the department has to go through a training period where they familiarize themselves with these procedures and they're tested on it. And so there will be, this will be integrated into that procedure. And then all of the hazardous materials and things like that that are done through the department and then also through the city of Fayetteville, who manages the hazmat operations for the region. Just a few of the statements that have already been prepared for should a crisis dealing with weather occur. So there would be a preparation, notifying people that there is a storm coming to the area and that they need to prepare themselves for it. A second release, which describes shelters will be open for an event, and so this will outline where those shelters will be located within the area should people need to use them. And that'll be either when the county or the state declares, or the federal through FEMA declares that there is a need for people to shelter. Our third release covers evacuations. And so if there is a need to evacuate and the governor declares that evacuation is necessary, or the mayor or county commissioners determine that there's a need to evacuate, then this would be the release for it. The fourth release is for stay puts or shelter in place. So this would be done after the evacuation notice goes out and it's too late to evacuate, and they'll have to shelter in place. And so there'll be areas that'll be determined that the people can go to kind of weather the storm. Luckily here we do have several military type facilities and things like that that are very sturdy, that will withstand a lot of damage, and so that there's a lot of places that people can go for that and within the area. The fifth release is about the disabled and elderly, and so people may need additional assistance. There's a number to call, and then that way Department of Social Services will be there to assist those personnel in evacuating or sheltering should the need occur. The last release is for people relocating from another area to the area, to the fire district area, and this will be if there is the situation is worse where they were and it's better in this area, and so they can shelter here. And then we'll also, luckily being a large military town, we have an abundance of hotels and other types of places like that where there's plenty of availability of places for people to stay. I'm sorry, one more plan is the seventh release is the evacuation plan, and that will cover the counties and the areas that do need to evacuate. For websites and social media, the main site that will be maintained by the department is the Pearces Mill Fire Department Facebook page. It's the only social media site that the department operates. And then also, like I said in previous slides, the Cumberland County Emergency Management Agency has a Facebook and Twitter, as well as the Cumberland County Alert System, which goes out via SMS. Here's a list of the prodromes for the plan, and so we'll just go through them one at a time. And so that there's definitely a hurricane who's going to hit, a tornado. Watch or warning is declared. Once a tornado hits the ground, I mean, there's not much time to react, so it's going to be there. There'll be an earthquake, either predicted or reported. And we don't have that problem very much here on the East Coast. However, there have been a few over the last few years that have kind of shaken things up in the area. Tropical storm, which has been determined to hit the area, and then a severe thunderstorm, which again, the biggest problem will be flooding and lightning. And this concludes my presentation. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you're ever in need of in a crisis situation here in the Cumberland County area, know that Pearces Mill will be prepared to handle that.